Hello and welcome back to AprilMayCodes. Today I'm going to add collisions to my game and also add a stump class so I can get the stumps on the screen. I'm going to start by adding a hitbox to my player. So we're just going to put that right here, self.hitbox. So I think it needs to go below the rect. So let's scroll down. Where's the rect at? There it is. Self.hitbox is equal to self.rect.copy.inflate -30, -20. And that needs to be in a tuple. Alright. I had to adjust these values a bit to get the hitbox where I wanted it. I think I need to change the hitbox values that I created in the generic class a bit. The player kind of overlaps some sprites or hits them before she's actually at the sprite, so those hitboxes aren't quite right. I used the values from the ClearCodes tutorial, but because I'm using some different sprites and sizing them up and stuff, I think I'm going to have to adjust them some, so we'll see. Alright, so to start, I'm going to add my collision sprites, tree sprites, and interactions to the player. So when we create the player, in init, we'll add those. Collision sprites, tree sprites, and interactions. Then down here, we'll do self.collision sprites is equal to collision sprites. Self.tree sprites is equal to tree sprites. And self.interactions is equal to interactions. Alright, so now when we create the player in the setup function of farm.py, which is in here somewhere, there we go, we need to add those values. So we'll add self.collision sprites, self.tree sprites, and self.interaction sprites. So we're just passing those from the farm to the player. And maybe we should make the player after we make all the sprites so that all the sprites get passed to the player. I'm not sure if that makes a difference or not, but just in case, I'm going to do that. So let's cut this. Let's make the player after we make the interactions. And then we'll make the decorations before we do the player as well. So we'll cut that out of there. And we'll scroll up and just paste it in right here. Is that indented right? Yeah, that looks right. Okay. So now we'll go back to player.py and we can start on the collisions. So to start, I'm going to create a collision function. This all comes from ClearCodes tutorial, the Stardew Valley Inspired Game. So let's just scroll down here, put it right here. Def collision, take self and a direction. And then we'll do for sprite in self.collision sprites dot sprites. So we get all the sprites in that group. If has attribute sprite hitbox. So if the sprite has a hitbox, then we're going to check if sprite dot hitbox dot collide rect self dot hitbox. So if our player hitbox collides with the sprite hitbox, if direction is equal to horizontal. And we'll do if self.direction dot x is greater than 0. So if we're moving right, self.hitbox.right is equal to sprite.hitbox.left. And if self.direction is less than 0, oops, let me go back a bit. Self.hitbox.left is equal to sprite.hitbox.right. Then we'll do self.rect.centerX is equal to self.hitbox.centerX. And we'll do self.pause.x is equal to self.hitbox.centerX. Then we'll handle the vertical movement. So if direction is equal to vertical, then basically the same thing but in reverse. So if self.direction.y is greater than 0, that means we're moving down. Then self.hitbox.bottom is equal to sprite.hitbox.top. And if self.direction.y is less than 0, then we're moving up. So self.hitbox.top is equal to sprite.hitbox.bottom. Then we'll do self.rect.centery is equal to self.hitbox.centery, and self.pause.y is equal to self.hitbox.centery. Then we need to call this function, the collision function, in the move function. So let's scroll up to the move function. And we're going to change a couple things here. So instead of rect, this is going to be hitbox. And then we'll do self.rect.centerX is equal to self.hitbox.centerX. And then we'll call self.collision, and the direction is horizontal. And do the same thing for the y, so we'll change this to hitbox. And then we'll say self.rect.centery is equal to self.hitbox.centery. And we'll call self.collision, and the direction will be vertical. That should be all we need to handle the collision, so let's see if it works. If you remember in my last video, when I walked all the way to the left, I walked right off the map. So now I should run into the cliff. Oh, I did, but we did something wrong. That should be direction.x or y. Line 244. That should be direction.x. And then this should be direction.y, direction.y. Okay. Now we'll go all the way to the edge of the screen, and we hit the wall. I should run into my hills. I should be able to go in here. Perfect. I'm running into the trees, but you see the hitboxes aren't quite right. And it could be that the player hitbox is the one that's off. I'll have to play with it some. Running into the walls up here. I can't walk into the house, but I can walk behind it, behind the trees. Can't walk into the water. And last check, I shouldn't be able to walk into the fences. Perfect. Alright, now let's get the stumps on the screen. For this, I'm going to start by copying my trees class. So let's get that. And we're just going to paste it down here and change that to stump. Alright, and now let's go back to farm.py. And in setup, when we create the tree, we do, I think I had if not object.name, I changed it to if object.name is not equal to. But either way, it's an if statement, so we will just do else, and we'll create a stump. Pause is equal to object.x times 3, object.y times 3, surf is equal to pygame.transform.scale object.image, and the size I'm going to do, see, I wanted 96 by 48, but then I wanted to make it bigger. What is twice? I just 2 times 96. $192. So let's see if that's too big. It might be too big. 192 by 96. If that's too big, we'll do 96 by 48, or maybe we can just scale it up by 16 a little bit. We'll see. And I forgot a comma. Alright. Groups is equal to self.allSprites, self.collision sprites, and self.tree sprites. It's not technically a tree, but we want it in tree sprites because when we use our tool, we're going through the tree sprites to check if the player is interacting with the tree. Alright, and then we just need name is equal to object.name. We'll import stump, and that should be enough to get our stumps on the screen. And it is. Oh, and that's a bit too big. Let's see. Let's do, what was it, 148 or 192? So we do 160 by 64. Let's try that. That looks alright. Let's check out our stumps down here. Yeah, I think that looks good. But see, I'm still walking. I'm walking through that little branch there. I'm walking up under the stumps there. So I gotta work on the hitboxes at some point. But our stumps show up on the screen, and that's what we wanted. And now let's add some more to the stump and the tree classes. So we're going to do a couple things here. We'll do self.alive is equal to true, and self.health is equal to 8. This is for the stump. And then we want to add a damage function. which will just do self.health minus equals 1. Then we want to do check def, which takes self. If self.health is less than or equal to 0, self.alive is equal to false, self.kill, we'll just kill the sprite so it no longer shows up on the screen. And finally our update function will take self and delta time. If self.alive, so if the tree is not dead yet, we'll check if it's dead. Check if it's been damaged enough to kill it. And we're basically going to add the same stuff to trees, but with a few changes. I need to indent that back a bit. So we're going to do if self.name, and these are the names that came from the tiled map, the names that I put in when I created the map. So if self.name is equal to small, self.health is equal to 4, and stump path is equal to assets slash stumps, which I pasted into my assets already. So it's just a folder that has the stumps for the large, medium, and small trees. And the XL stump is in there as well, but I didn't end up needing it because I'm just getting rid of those once they're chopped down. We'll do assets slash stumps slash small, .png. If self.name is equal to medium with a capital M, self.health is equal to 6, and stump path is equal to assets slash stumps slash medium.png. And if self.name is equal to large, spell it correctly, self.health is equal to 8, and the stump path is going to be large.png. Alright, self.alive is equal to true. And self.stumpSurf is equal to pygame.image.load. We're going to do stump path .convert alpha. Alright, then we got the damage, and then in check def, we're not just killing the sprite if the tree is chopped down. We're not going to get rid of the sprite at all, we're just going to replace it. So, take out that line and we'll do self.image is equal to self.stumpSurf, self.rect is equal to self.image.getRect, and we'll do mid bottom is equal to self.rect.midBottom. So that looks a little bit confusing, but we're basically replacing self.rect with a rect where the mid-bottom is at the mid-bottom position of the previous rect. So the mid-bottom position of the tree is the new position, mid-bottom position for the new rect that we're overwriting. We'll change the hitbox sum. And again, I'm going to need to play around with these values, but for now we'll do self.rect.copy.inflate. And this is going to be -10, negative self.rect.height times 0.6. We'll set self.alive to false. We're not going to handle adding wood to the player inventory yet. I'm going to do that in the next video. And then update, we'll just do if self.alive, we'll check for the death. Alright, now I need to add some values to my config.py file. And this is going to be a dictionary called player tool offset. So for left, it's going to be vector2, which I already imported, -50, 10. Right is going to be vector2, 50, 10. Forgetting my commas. Up is going to be vector2, 0, -15. And down is going to be vector2, 0, and 30. And this was a lot of guess and check, and I'm going to be doing a lot more to get it quite right because it's still a bit funky. I don't love how the positioning is. I'm going to try to figure out how to implement like a targeted tile outline so that we know which tile we're targeting, but I haven't figured out just how to implement that yet, so it's not something I've done yet. Now what we're going to use the player tool offset for is in the player file we're going to make a new function. This is from AprilMayCodes as well. And that function is going to be called get target pause. So in player.py, we'll do this right before update. Def get target pause. We'll just take self, put an extra line there. Alright. Self.target pause. Whoops. Is equal to self.rect.center plus config.playerToolOffset and then self.status.split at the underscore. We're going to take the first value that's returned because that's the direction we're facing. So we'll plug in the direction we're facing as the key, and that will return the value from the dictionary. And I've got this done wrong. That should be here. Here we go. Alright, so we'll call self.targetPause right before we call move. So self.getTargetPause. Alright, and now I believe we just need our useTool function. So let's go up to that. And instead of just typing pass, we're going to do if self.selectedTool is equal to x. We'll do for tree in self.treesprites.sprites. If tree.rect, do I need .sprites? I think I do. If tree.rect .collidePoint self.targetPause, then we'll do tree.damage. Alright, I think that is all that we need. Let's see if we can chop down our trees and our stumps. And when we chop down the trees, they should just be replaced with a stump image. Let me switch to the axe. There we go. Perfect. Alright, and if we chop down our stumps, they should just disappear. Perfect. Alright, so we got collisions added, we got the trees, the stumps added, and we updated the stump and tree classes so that we can now damage them and get rid of the stumps and chop down the trees. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like or a comment if it was helpful to you in any way. And consider subscribing to my channel so you can stay updated on my coding progress, on the game progress. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time, where I'll work on implementing the inventory and adding wood to the inventory when the trees are chopped down. Thanks again. See you next time.